What's the best investing platform in Canada? Well, let's see which one has the lowest fees. Hey guys, it's Adrian here, the Canadian in a t-shirt. And today I'll do a head-to-head comparison between Wealthsimple, Questrade, and Moomoo. I'll break down their fees across the board. I made a comparison video 10 months ago back in January, but since then there have been huge changes. All three of these brokers have completely changed their commission fees and conversion fees, so we gotta do it again. And heads up, there's gonna be even more changes next year. Wealthsimple will finally support NORBERT'S Gambit, hopefully in early 2026. I'm very excited to see what they come up with, but for now, these are their numbers. I'll start with Canadian fees and then move on to US investing. With the US, we have to cover currency conversion fees and then commission fees. Finally, we'll announce the winner of each category at the end. Use the chapters to follow along. Right off the bat, there's no such thing as the best platform. Each have pros and cons, and you don't have to stick to just one. I use a combination of all three of them, and that way I save a ton of money, literally thousands of dollars. Also, I'm not going to cover features. Today, I'll just focus on cold hard numbers, the costs. There's a lot of math to break down, so let's pull up my Excel spreadsheet, got the glasses back on, and let's jump in. Let's start with the easy math, Canadian investing. It will get more complex as we go along. I put a lot of hours into making this Excel fee calculator, so click the link down below to download and play with your own numbers. It's totally free. At the top left in yellow, this is the only thing you need to change. Just enter how much money you're investing and the share price, and everything else gets calculated automatically. It's separated into three columns, Wealthsimple, Questrade, and Moomoo. Starting with Wealthsimple and Questrade, when it comes to Canadian investing, both of them are free. That's amazing. No commission fees, no trading fees, no nothing. Totally free. So for the Canadian category, both Questrade and Wealthsimple are tied for first. Now for US investing, different story. Wealthsimple is very expensive, even with their new changes. We'll see in a minute. For Canadian, Wealthsimple has always been free. They won gold last time, but back in February, Questrade changed the game by dropping all their trading fees, ECN fees, and commissions. So now Questrade is free as well. Watch this for the full breakdown. Another change from last time, now there's no need to separate stocks versus ETFs. They'll both cost the exact same across all three platforms. The same thing for buying or selling. This makes the math a lot easier. Now for Moomoo, they aren't free, but they have super low fees. For most investors, you'll only pay $1.50 per trade, whether you buy stocks or ETFs. Especially when you compare it to the big banks, most of which still charge $10 per trade. Here's the math. Moomoo charges 1.49 cents per share, but with a minimum fee of $1.49. Basically, as long as you're buying less than 100 shares, you'll only pay $1.49. For most investors, you're not buying 100 shares at a time. That's thousands of dollars at once. So most of the time, Moomoo will only cost you $1.49. If you go above 100 shares, you'll pay more, but still super low. Buying 20 grand of TD stock would cost you $3. Now when it comes to penny stocks, there's a different formula. I don't recommend penny stocks. They are incredibly risky, and odds are you'll lose your money. If you want to take the risk and buy stocks with a share price below $1, here's the new formula that kicks in. And that's a good thing. It saves you money. Here's a cool example. If we bought $1,000 with a share price of $1, we pay $15 in commissions. Now, if the share price drops down to 99 cents, the new formula kicks in and we only pay $1.50, 10 times less. Again, this is for penny stocks, super risky, and it won't affect most of you, but I wanted to include the formula for completeness. Now, Moomoo is new to Canada, and a lot of you haven't heard of it, so check out my reviews right here where I show off their low US fees and awesome research tools. That's what I like about them. And use my referral links down below for all three platforms to lock in a sign-up bonus. So when it comes to Canadian investing, the verdict is simple. Both Questrade and Wealthsimple are free. You can't beat that. And while Moomoo is very cheap, it's not free. Now it's time for US investing. This is where things get interesting. Clicking on the second tab on Excel, there's a lot more going on. For US investing, there's two parts. First, the top half. We have to convert into US dollars and we pay conversion fees. Once we have US dollars, then we pay commission fees to buy those stocks. That's the bottom half. Let's start with the conversion. This is where Wealthsimple falls apart. Again, Wealthsimple is fantastic for Canadian investing. It's free, but I do not recommend them for US investing. They are very expensive. In fact, I made a whole video on why I do not use them for US investing. Check it out. Since then, they've made some changes. Notice their new tiered conversion rates. Definitely a step in the right direction, but even so, far too expensive compared to Questrade and Moomoo. Before, Wealthsimple used to charge a 1.5% conversion fee every time you converted currency. That was massive, and you couldn't avoid it. And no, even if you paid their $10 monthly plan, or if you're a premium user with over 100,000 in assets, doesn't matter, you would still pay that 1.5% fee every time. Converting 1,000, you pay 15 bucks. 10,000, you pay 150 bucks. 12 times more than you'd pay with the other two. Now they've added tiers. It's a little bit better, but only for very large amounts. If you convert anything less than 10,000, you still pay that 1.5% conversion fee. That's what the vast majority of your trades will be day to day. Ouch. But if you convert $10,000 all at once, then you get a lower rate of 1%. It's still 100 bucks, too high if you ask me, but it is 50 bucks cheaper than before. If you convert above 25K, the rate drops again to 0.5%. So it will cost you $125. Finally, if you convert above 100K, then there is no conversion fee. That's nice, but most people only convert 100,000 once in their lifetimes, if ever. That's when they're liquidating their retirement fund. But day to day, you're still going to be paying that 1.5% conversion fee. Again, on all transactions below 10,000. And that's only half the problem. That's just the explicit conversion fee. There's also the FX spread. This is more of a hidden fee baked into their exchange rate. And it's not just Wealthsimple. Literally every bank or brokerage will do this. They'll always give you an FX rate that's worse than the actual exchange rate. It's how they make money. Some are better than others, but they all do it. Even banks that I love, like EQ Bank. Now with Wealthsimple, they call it their corporate exchange rate. You'll notice whenever you convert currency, they use a rate worse than the true exchange rate. That's the spread. Unfortunately, they don't publicly disclose this corporate exchange rate, and it will vary day to day based on the FX market. I've done several experiments over the past few weeks to reverse calculate the spread, and yes, it does vary. I've seen anywhere between 0.37% and 0.46%. So for this video, let's use a nice and easy 0.4% number. That's the FX spread that Wealthsimple charges, here in blue. And they charge that on top of the conversion fee, usually 1.5% here in orange. In reality, when you add them together, you're really paying closer to 1.9% each time. Even though this FX spread isn't visible, it's there behind the scenes. Read the fine print. Before you convert, you should always check the true exchange rate on XE Currency or Google Finance to compare what you should be getting versus what you actually get. I know it feels like I'm picking on Wealthsimple, but again, they all do it, including Moomoo, which we'll get to in a second. So even if you convert $100,000 and you expect zero conversion fees, that's not free. You're still losing 0.4% or about $400 in the currency spread. And sadly, you can't avoid it. It's baked into their corporate exchange rate. When you combine their conversion fee with this FX spread, you see that Wealthsimple is just too expensive for US investing. That's why I don't recommend them. They're great for Canadian, but not for US. Next year, in 2026, they will finally be launching NORBERT'S Gambit to lower these fees. We don't know the details or how much they'll charge. I'm very excited to see the numbers, but for now, I can't recommend them. Moomoo and Questrade are way cheaper. Let's start with Questrade. With Questrade, you have two options. You can convert currency the same as Wealthsimple and pay that 1.5% fee plus a spread, but don't do that. Instead, use NORBERT'S Gambit to avoid currency conversion fees. That's what I've been doing for years, and it only costs me a flat fee of $10. But the downside is you won't convert instantly. You have to wait 2 to 3 days to process and get your US dollars. I won't get into the details. A few weeks ago, I made an updated tutorial showing you step by step how it works. So please check that out. The short version is, with NORBERT'S Gambit, you're not converting currency, so you avoid conversion fees. Instead, you buy a special ETF in Canadian dollars and you journal that into the equivalent US dollar ETF. Now you sell that and boom, you've got US cash, without paying a percent-based fee. Instead, I pay a flat fee, $9.95 plus sales tax. I live in Ontario, so with 13% HST, I pay a total of $11.24. Doesn't matter how much I convert. That's the beauty of a flat fee. If I convert $1,000, I pay $11. If I convert $100,000, I pay the same $11. So you see, for large amounts, Questrade wins by a landslide. It's not even close. That's why NORBERT'S Gambit and Questrade have saved me thousands over the years. Here in blue, you'll notice that there's no spread. Again, we're not directly converting currency, so there's no hidden corporate exchange rate. We're just converting ETFs, and they're designed to match the Canadian USD exchange rate exactly. And if it's not a perfect match, I've never converted enough money to notice a difference. I usually convert between $1,000 and $2,000 with NORBERT'S Gambit. I do it every single month, and I've never noticed a spread. The amount I get is the amount I expect, minus the $10 flat fee. If you want to sign up with Questrade, use my referral link down below to get a $50 cash bonus. You'll see my custom landing page, and that referral bonus should apply automatically. If you want to be extra safe, you can manually enter my code Canadian T-shirt. Now for Moomoo, converting to US dollars can be even better, especially for small amounts. About a month ago, Moomoo made a big change. They got rid of their conversion fee. That's right, it's 0%. And there's no minimum fee or anything like that. I've tried it, it's true. For any amount, $10 or $10,000, no conversion fees anymore. That's amazing, but just like Wealthsimple, there is a spread. With Moomoo, they call it their reference rate. It also varies every day, but based on my calculations, it's about 0.11%. That's incredible. On spread alone, Moomoo is almost 4 times cheaper than Wealthsimple. Once you add in their 1.5% conversion fee, Moomoo is 17 times cheaper to convert. I encourage you to try it. Convert $100 with Wealthsimple versus Moomoo, and you'll see the difference. Before we get to commission fees, let's compare the conversion fees. Which one is the best? Well, it depends. Wealthsimple is by far the most expensive for conversions. It will always be between 4 and 17 times more expensive than Moomoo, so there's no contest there. Now, Questrade is different. They have a flat fee, so they'll be the cheapest for large amounts, but not for small amounts. Between Wealthsimple and Questrade, the break-even point is $600. Below $600, and NORBERT'S Gambit isn't worth it. You're better off paying that 1.5% conversion fee plus the spread. But for anything above $600, Questrade beats Wealthsimple. Not even close. The more you convert, the more you pay, but Questrade stays flat at $11. $1,000? Wealthsimple will cost you $19. Questrade flat at $11, and Moomoo $1.10. What about $5,000? Wealthsimple costs $95. Questrade again $11, and Moomoo only $5.50. Let's go big. What about $20,000? Wealthsimple would cost you $280. Moomoo only costs $22, and Questrade now takes the lead. Again, $11. I hope it's clear. Wealthsimple is very expensive for US conversions, but between Questrade and Moomoo, it's evenly matched. Moomoo wins for smaller amounts, but for larger amounts, Questrade wins thanks to their flat fee. And Moomoo is instant. You don't have to wait 2 to 3 days. The break-even point is $10,220. They'll both cost you $11.24. Wealthsimple would cost $143. Above this amount, Questrade takes the lead. Both these options are great and way cheaper than converting your cash at a bank. Bottom line, for everyday Canadians investing, say, $1,000, Moomoo is the cheapest for US stocks. But if you have a lump sum, say an inheritance of $20,000, then Questrade is the cheapest, especially once you throw commission fees into the mix. When it comes to commissions, once again, both Wealthsimple and Questrade are 0. You only pay the conversion fee. Once you have US dollars, the rest is free. So our total cost here in green will just be the conversion fee. For Moomoo, we do have commission fees, and it's similar in structure to the Canadian side. You pay 1 cent per share with a minimum of $1.99, and these are US dollars, so we convert back into Canadian here. For most trades, you're buying less than 200 shares, and so you only pay $1.99 USD or $2.79 Canadian. Once again, for penny stocks, I included the alternate calculation here on the side. So for Moomoo, we add up the conversion fee and the commission fee, $1.99 USD, and we get our total cost here in Canadian dollars. Before we move on, I included some rare special cases here at the bottom right. Feel free to skip this part. These ECN fees with Questrade won't apply to most of you, unless you're a day trader and you want to specify the routing method. Also, for selling a US stock, you'll pay a tiny amount in SEC fees, 0.00278% of your purchase. Moomoo used to charge this, but they got rid of it as of May. Don't worry about it, these won't affect most of you. We're talking a couple of pennies. I just included them here to be 100% accurate. So, putting it all together, conversion fees and commission fees, which one is better? For US investing, Wealthsimple is the worst by far. Now, Moomoo versus Questrade, it depends. Small transactions, Moomoo wins. Large amounts, Questrade wins. I can't give you an exact break-even point like I did before because these US commission fees depend on the share price and number of shares. But here's some general takeaways. For a normal stock with a share price around $100, the break-even point will be $7,700. At that amount, Moomoo's total fees will equal $11, the flat fee for NORBERT'S Gambit. If we have a smaller share price, say $10 a share, then Moomoo costs more. The more shares you buy, the more you pay in commissions. But bottom line, for large amounts, above $8,000, then Questrade is the cheapest. For smaller amounts, say $2,000, then Moomoo is the cheapest. Let's end with an extreme case. Say you've grown your US portfolio to $1 million and you want to sell it all. Here's the cost. Wealthsimple will cost you $4,000. Moomoo will be around $1,500 once you throw in a few commission trades. And Questrade will cost you that flat fee, $11. Before we get to the final decision, remember to use my referral links below for each of these platforms. Get a $25 sign-up bonus with Wealthsimple, a $50 bonus with Questrade, and a special bonus for Moomoo just for my viewers, worth up to $600. I'll pin these links in the comment below. I know it's a lot of information, so let's summarize with two easy tables showing gold, silver, and bronze. For Canadian investing, both Wealthsimple and Questrade are free, so they're tied for gold. Moomoo is still great, usually costs just $1.50, so it gets the bronze. Now for US investing, Wealthsimple is too expensive. I'm not even going to give them a bronze. They get a red X. Don't use them for US. For normal amounts, up to $5,000, Moomoo is the cheapest and gets the gold. For large amounts, $8,000 and above, Questrade is the winner. This video, I was just talking numbers. You also have to consider the features of each platform. There's pros and cons to each. And stay tuned for more brokerage reviews coming up. I already have a playlist, link down below. It's a good idea to use multiple brokers. I use all three of them and it saves me money. To sign up, use my referral links below to get those bonuses. So thanks everyone, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of The Canadian in a T-shirt. Bye guys.